Om Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vatarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavando Punah Punah Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmatacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheta Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ukaro Anthakaro Vairukarastan Nivartakaha Anthakara Nirodhitvad Gururitya Vidhiyate Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivasvataya Mrityave Brahma Vidya Acharyaya Nachiketase Namaha. Due to some reasons, we didn't have the class in the last Sunday. We apologize for that. Those who have waited for that. Certain technical issues were there. So right now we will continue as we were continuing from the penultimate Sunday. So we are in the 15th verse of the third section of the first chapter of the Kaṭha Upaniṣad. The very word Kaṭakam came from the Krishna Yajurveda. This Upanishad occurs in the Kaṭhaka section. And it's a dialogue between a young boy and the Lord of Death. We already saw how the reality is being unfolded by the Lord Death to a young boy. Of course, your talent is being accounted when you make understand a very young boy. So here, Lord Death, Yama Dharmaraja, he unfolded the reality to a young boy in different ways so that he can understand it properly. And he's continuing the reality from different angle. The same reality is being recognized by the listeners. The teaching which was given by the Lord Death to Nachiketas. And here, this verse especially is talking about the reality by giving words having negative particles like shabdham, sound, ashabdham, which don't have sound. Ashabdam, opposite of sound. Negative. So, as I told you, the class which were before, a particular thing is identified by two different types of characteristics. Intrinsic characteristics, in Sanskrit, Surupa Lakshanam. Incidental characteristics, Tatastha Lakshanam. I given few examples also. I would like to recollect few examples given by the Lord Adi Shankara in his different commentaries. Agnehe Ushnatvam Sarupa Lakshanam. The hotness of the fire never comes and goes. It will be always there along with the fire. Wherever you sense the heat, it means that there is a fire. In our body, there is a heat, there is a temperature. It means there is a fire inside the body. Wherever you sense the heat, because it's the intrinsic nature of the fire. In order to identify whether there is fire or not, you need to know the heat is there or not. Agnehe Sarupa Lakshanam Tapa. Similarly, I already given you Tatastha Lakshanam, a feature which is existing in and through with an object is called Sarupa Lakshanam. Intrinsic nature. Tatastha Lakshanam, an incidental characteristic. For identifying a thing, you bring an incidental feature on that. For example, I given you an example in the previous class. A blue shirt is an incidental characteristic of a person to identify among the crowd. In a crowd, if you want to identify a person, in order to recognize that person, we show to somebody the person who is in the blue shirt. That is the person you are looking for. After identifying the person, in coming days, whether he wear a blue shirt or another shirt, it's not a problem at all. You already identified the person, because that blue shirt is an incidental characteristic, an incidental feature for the time being. Similarly, when the consciousness obtaining in the body, that consciousness which is sentient, Chetanavan Purusha in Sanskrit, which is sentient, which is evident, which is also effulgent. Because of the presence of the consciousness, I can talk to you. Because of the presence of the consciousness, you can understand with your ears what I am talking of. Because of the presence of the consciousness, my mind works. Because of the presence of the consciousness, my eyes can see something outside. Because of the presence of the consciousness in the body, my all organs can do their respective job in the body. The consciousness which is obtaining in the body is capable of giving the sentience for every organ. But it is free from all the features which are done by the sense organs. For example, it can give the sentience for the eyes, the eyes can see the external things, but the consciousness is not having the characteristics of darshanatvam. Vision is not the characteristic of the consciousness, because you can see with your eyes. The consciousness doesn't have the feature of making somebody to see. The presence of the consciousness makes the person to see through the eyes. If the consciousness flows out through the ears, it will become the sense of listening. If the consciousness flows out through our mouth or our tongue, we can taste, we can speak. The consciousness which is pervading, which is obtaining in the body, if it flows through our hands, we can do certain job. So, Chetanatvam, giving the sentience, opposite of the inertness. So, consciousness is free from the all features of the gross matter, like listening, like seeing, like smelling, like touching, everything. These are all incidental features of the consciousness. If you can listen, there is somebody who is giving the sentience towards the ears and eyes. That consciousness is capable of making the ears to listen. That consciousness is capable of making the eyes to see the things. That consciousness is capable of making our tongue to speak and taste. But Those features are not belonging to the consciousness. We just identify the consciousness because there is a sentience in each and every organs of the body. Thus, these are all incidental characteristics of the conscious being. Because there is a sound which I can listen, that listening is due to the presence of this consciousness. Like this, we need to be understand each and every negative particle added word. I will read the shloka given by the Lord Death to Nachiketas. 15th verse. Ashabdhamasparshamarupamavyayam tatharasam nityam agandavachayad anati anantam mahatah param dhruvam nichaya tan mrityumukad pramuchyate. Once more I will read. Ashabdhamasparshamarupamavyayam tatharasam nityam agandavachayat anati anantam mahatah param dhruvam nichaya tan mrityumukad pramuchyate. We already saw the meaning of the first line. Just I will brief it. Ashabdham. That consciousness which is free from all kinds of sound or cannot understand through words. Words will only reveal a thing which is gross, which is a matter. This being something subtler, it cannot be defined or explained by the words. Ashabdham, asparsham. Same manner we need to understand a thing which is not gross, a thing which is subtler, cannot be touched. It is untouched. Asparsham, arupam, which is free from color or form, cannot be identified with our eyes. Eyes can see certain things other than you. Eyes cannot identify yourself. It can only see external things by which the thing present, by which presence, by which consciousness behind the eyes, those eyes are working to see the external thing. Those things, though that consciousness is not seen by the eyes, arupam, which is free from form, cannot be identified by the eyes. Tatharasam, arasam, free from all kinds of taste. We need to put to understand the whole meaning. This being not a gross or matter, this being a subtler thing, that which consciousness which I am is a subtler thing. It is not possible by understand. It is not possible to understand by taste. Lot of things in the world we understand by taste. Salt and sugar, they are in powder style, correct? But when they are in the same form, in order to understand, we need to taste them, whether it is salt or sugar. Okay. This being very subtler, formless, it is not understood by any kind of taste. Nityam, very important word, often appears in each and every Vedic Upanishads. Every Vedic statement, one after another, this word will come, Nityam. Nityam means permanent, eternal, that which will not comes and goes away, will not come and go away. This is called Nityam. We are all subject to death because we have a birth. Body comes and goes away. Body is subject to death. Why? It is born in this world. It has a birth and a constitution of 5 elements. What comes and goes away, in Sanskrit, we call it Anityam. Impermanent. In order to have an impermanent thing comes and goes, I can recognize something is coming and something is going. For example, there is a verse in a treatise written by Adi Shankara, Drigdrishya Vivek. Akamanye manonyatra sampratam cha sthirikritam ithamyo veti vritti sohamityavadharaya. Very beautiful verse, which we need an explanation to understand. My mind has gone elsewhere. Right now it came back, and a person identifies it has gone and it has came back. It has now there in the position. I can understand the mind has come. One who identifies that the mind has gone away for certain time and it's right now again in the position, I can see the mind has come now. One who identifies, one who recognizes the departure and the arrival of the mind, we all think that, oh, I was thinking about my car. Right now I am thinking about the class which is going on. One who identifies like this, the mind which has traveled to a place and it came back. One who identifies like this consciousness is I am. This person will not come and go. He is permanent in this world. The body will come, the body will go. But this will stay back. This will stay back. This is not going to be end. I am the permanent, eternal, conscious being which never comes and goes. I will be here. Even my body may be subject to destruction. Of course, it is subject to destruction. When there is a birthday, there is a date of death. Body is subject to birth and body is subject to death. But the base of the body is not subject to death and birth. It will stay. It will be there. It will not go anywhere because it is all pervasive. There is no place where it is not there. When everywhere it is there is no place to go. It is permanent. The consciousness who I am is Nithyam, the permanent, will not comes and go. I need not to worry about the death and birth of the body. I need not to worry about the relationships which comes and goes like mushrooms. I need not to worry about the money which comes and goes. I need not to worry about my body condition which comes and goes. I am permanent. This sentence should echo each and every second in your mind, because people will make you insecure by giving one of these sentences. You don't have money, how you will survive? Oh, you don't have anybody to uh, conduct your life. You are not in a relationship. How you are going to survive? Your body condition is not so good. How you are going to survive? People are always living in insecure. They will also find insecurity in you and also in the others. They don't have this clear vision about oneself. I am not something which is subject to death. I am not something which is subject to destruction. I am not something which is subject to eliminated. I will not disappear from this world. I am the pure consciousness, which is an advice of Lord Death, who comes and takes away the lives of other living beings. He himself says that the intrinsic nature of a person is Nithyam, which is not subject to death and birth. I am the consciousness. My vision about myself, if it gets changed, I will not have any insecure anymore. The insecurity continues because of the not knowing nature about myself. If I come to know my nature, Atmanam ched vijaniyat. Suppose a person comes to know about oneself. Suppose. That word suppose itself shows that there are possibilities not knowing till the life ends. If a person comes to know who I am, that I am not the person to die. I am not the person to disappear in this world. Atmanam ched vijaniyat. I am asmi idi purushaha. I am the center of the creation. I am the locus of the creation. I am the origination of the happiness. Kimichan kasya kamaya. By what desiring he will involve in any activities. Worldly activities are many. Games are there. Arts are there. Some business are there. Lot of activities are there in this empirical world. But you should have a desire to pursue that, correct? When you don't have the desire, because you are the creator, you are the consciousness which will never disappear from this world. You are the center of each and every drama occurring around you. You are in the form of each and every living being. Once you come to know, your vision has been changed. You are liberated. You are free from the body motion. Then there is no insecurity. When there is insecurity, you have to involve in work and you have to achieve some money, you have to achieve some relationship, you have to achieve somebody. That is God. Kimichan, by what desiring you will involve in any activity. Kasya kamaya, for whose satisfaction you will involve in some action, because almost 50% of the people are doing some work to make others satisfaction. Kasya kamaya, shariram anasanjware, Brihadaranya Upanishad. You will torture yourself, your body. You will give torture for your own body. Because each and every action needs certain effort, and it's a small kind of suffering. So once you understand I am permanent in this world, everything can come and goes. Everything can come and go. I will not go anywhere. I will be here. I am permanent. Nityam. This consciousness is Satyam, the truth, and also this is permanent. Nityam. Agandavacha. There is no way of understanding through smell, because it's not a gross matter. Any gross matter can be easily identified by smelling, touching, or something any other way. This is not a gross matter, it is subtle. It does not possess the properties of matter, such as sound or etc., etc., And anadi anantam mahataf param dhruvam. Second line. Adi means beginning. Anything when gets started, definitely it will come to an end. Anything when it gets started, it will come to an end. So, for example, you start a business. After a period of time, the trend has gone. What you are doing, you stop this business and you will start another business. Like somebody was doing a stationery shop. He just wind up the shop and he started mobile business. So something he started before 10 years and he stopped now and he started a new business. Anything which has started will have an end. But this is beginningless. This consciousness never born from another entity. This consciousness remains forever because it is beginningless. It didn't start, so it will not end us. Anati. Adihi na vidyate anati. There is no beginning, anati. Now, anati anantam. Antam means end in Sanskrit. Anandam, that which never ends. There is no end. Because whenever there is a beginning, therefore there is an end. Like we born on one date so that we will end up in one date. There is a beginning of this body, there will be an end for the body. Anati anantam. Anything gets started will end. Now, I want to make you understand a main point in Anadi and Anandam. Freedom is not to be started at any point of time. Oh, after listening to your classes, I am totally free from all kinds of household duties because now I know that I am not this body. I'm not a husband. I'm not a wife. I'm not a daughter. I'm not anything you can say. The point is, freedom is not something to start because you have listened to the traditional teachers teach. Freedom you recognize. Already there is a freedom existing because Atman is not having any bondages with anything. There is no bondages for Atman, the individual soul. It's ever free. Nityam. Nityamuktam. But I didn't know that I am free from all kinds of worldly bondages. It's only a recognition, understanding by the teachings of the traditional teacher. Freedom never gets started so that it will never get to an end. Freedom is nityam, permanent. I understood now there is a freedom which was already existing. Why I consider myself other than this individual soul, this consciousness, that I am this body. Whenever I take myself as a limited body is subject to different types of bondages, suffering, pain, etc., etc. When I consider myself, I am not this limited body. I am the beginningless consciousness. I am the eternal consciousness. The body limitations are no more there for me. There is no such bondages. I am ever free. I recognized myself. This recognition is important. I discover myself. It's not an invention. It's not a new thing beginning in our life. That freedom is not something yet to start or ready to start or started after the teaching of Vedanta. Vedanta makes you to see your eternal freedom. After this role, Vedanta itself get departed. There is no gratitude for anybody. Na guruhu, na shishyaha, na Vedanta. Nothing will be there in the picture. Because the traditional teacher, these Upanishads, everybody work overtime for you to recognize the real freedom. Once you discover your freedom, they have played their role and they will depart. They will vanish from your life because freedom is not connected with anybody in this world. You are eternally free. If this freedom is connected to any Vedic statements or Upanishads or traditional teacher, then that is not an eternal freedom. It's not a Nityamukta. Moksha is not something, freedom is not something connected to anything in the world. You are already free. Vedas and traditional teachers make you to see this eternal freedom, and you discover your freedom yourself. That is called Nitya Muktaha, Anati Anantam. So the freedom is beginningless, the freedom is endless. Anati Anantam. Mahataf Param. Mahat. I told you, Hiranyagarbha, the first individual soul in the creation, which have all other living beings inside that individual soul. This is called Hiranyagarbha, Mahat. It is beyond the individual soul. This individual soul, Hiranyagarbha, some people may consider as Lord, who is in a name and form. Different types of lords can be connected with this Mahat. For the time being, this Mahat should be understood as Hiranyagarbha, the first individual soul which comes into the form, like dosha batter. The batter will have lot of doshas, but it's a one single batter now. Similarly, it is beyond this Mahat. that individual soul which we are talking about is behind the Mahat. Mahat itself is a created, limited living being. When we talk about the consciousness, one should focus to this formless Brahman, which is the consciousness of oneself. Mahataf Param, then, very beautiful. Dhruvam, very, very striking word. Dhruvam means permanent, without having any change. It's called Dhruvam. When the cinema screen is not having any change while the cinema is going on, that cinema screen is Dhruvam. Because of the Dhruvam, all changes are happening. If this cinema screen is moving, you will not see a movie properly. Because of its permanence, we identify all the changes in a beautiful way. Similarly, in order to occur all the motions around, Earth is rotating itself, and also going around the sun. The whole solar system is going on. Every trees are taking the water from the earth and making some movements. Every living being in this world have its own activities. All are considered to be movements. In order to have movements, there should be somebody permanent in this world. Like, if you want to run a car in the road should be permanent in order to drive a car. Road and car cannot move together. One thing should be permanent for all other movements. Come to that logic. Each and everything in this world, whatever I see, have a movement. In order to have movement and to recognize the movement, there should be somebody which is immovable, which is unchanging. That unchanging is being pointed out by the word Dhruvam. A thing which never changes, which stay back, stable, unchanging. Because of this stability, all movements are occurring. When the road is stable without having any movement, all the cars and buses and trucks can run over the road. If the road also going along with the car, what movement you are going to do? Correct. So the permanent thing is called Dhruvam. This consciousness, Lord, Death use different words to point out the reality for this young boy, which become a blessing for the listeners. After knowing this, Nichaya, after knowing this from a traditional teacher by the traditional teaching, Nichaya, knowing this properly, what is the result when you know this properly, Nichaya? Tad, that unchanging nature of oneself, the listener is playing the main role. Remember, we are talking all this nature of the listener who is listening this Kaṭha Upaniṣad. That listener who is in the form of consciousness, which appear for others as limited body, that listener is the key part of the central theme of this Upanishad. He is playing the main role. All these words are just an attribute for the listener. Ashabdam, asparsham, That individual soul is permanent in this world without having any kind of changing, without having any kind of movement, knowing that which is the origination of all happiness, knowing that what will be the result? Mrityu mukad pramuchyate. Mrityu, death, from the hands of death, from the jaws of death. Mukham means face. From the jaws of the death, one will be freed from the death and birth cycle. This is the meaning what he want to convey, but I will give the literal meaning. Mrityu mukad, from the jaws of death, one will be freed. Pramuchyate. See, the pra word is very important. By getting the enlightenment, by studying the traditional teachings from a traditional teacher, knowing the reality from the traditional teacher about oneself, then the person will be freed from all kinds of suffering, including death. There will be no suffering, there will be no death for that individual. Death is for a person who is ignorant. Death will also occur for an intelligent, for an enlightened person, but he recognizes himself as the consciousness. He don't recognize as body as himself or herself. Body is a superimposed form of on the consciousness. He got the discrimination. He got the enlightenment from the teacher that I am not this body. I am this consciousness. When he understands properly the consciousness, then the body, even though fall apart, he is no more thinking about himself died. He will not think about himself, he is no more. He stay back because he recognized himself as consciousness. Body can come, body can go, but I stay back in the form of consciousness. What is superimposed on this consciousness has a time to depart, it will go, still I continue. This culture should be cultivated daily in our daily life. I am this conscious being. I will not die. In spite of all my body issues, I am permanent in this world. That is being told by Lord Death. And we have to chew again and again this sentence. By knowing the consciousness, I will be freed from the death and birth cycle while living, not after death, while living itself. When the body fall apart, I continue in the form of consciousness, which was continuing even the body was there. It was there before the body was taking, before the body was getting molded. This consciousness will continue in and through. And there will be no taking again and another body in this world and getting into suffering. Tad, knowing that Brahman, he will be or she will be freed from the jaws of death. Mrityumugad pramuchyate. Now I will read the next verse and I will give the explanation in the next class. Just I will read the next verse. Nachiketam upakhyanam mrityu proktam sanatanam uktva shrutva cha methavi brahmaloke mahiyate. After two verses, the first chapter is concluded, which will conclude in the next Sunday. Only two verses remaining in this third section of the first chapter. Then the first chapter will get concluded. We will see in the next class. Om Susti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः। पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी। देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः। ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः। सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः। सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु। कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। सतो मा सद्गमय। तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय। मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।